coming back from the storm was insane. I'd never seen anything like it. I think that really Rita, I thought that it was going to kind of compare to Hurricane Rita, but it just didn't. It was different. Coming back in and seeing the destruction in the trees and just so much stuff. It was hard though, because I grew up in this neighborhood here in Oak Park. This was my grandparents' house. I learned to walk and talk in this house. So to pull up and see 5 trees just laying on the house was heartbreaking. It was brutal. It was very emotional. It was hard. It started a grieving process that I didn't even realize I was going to go through. With having to tear apart a house that we spent almost 4 years, a little over 4 years remodeling. We were about 80% done, and now, as you see, it's just bare studs. Everything we did is gone. So, August 27th changed our life forever.
Not really for the better.
No.
There's some lessons you can learn from it. There's some things that you can do, but I don't think anybody expected to feel all we were going to feel and all what they were going to feel. Everybody has a different story, but it's to come home to a home that doesn't feel like home and that was just taken. It's just devastating. I feel gutted. That's about the best that I can extract. I just feel gutted. I feel very displaced. That's the hardest part, is feeling displaced, the unknown, not understanding, not being able to prepare for the emotions that you were going to feel, not being able to prepare for, you didn't have a plan. There was no way to have a plan because you didn't know what was going to take place. Emotionally, I thought I was in a good place, and I was in a good place, and a situation put me in a place where I just didn't have the energy to fight. But you don't have a choice but to do that.
Well, after we came back and saw everything and kind of surveyed the damage, and right above my head there was a tree in this living room, and really the only thing that's saved us a lot is that we have a really solid marriage. We have a solid faith. We know that God will see us through it. It's just gonna hurt in the process. But, besides being my wife, she's my best friend, and we confide everything in each other, and we are each other's rock. And so when days are hard, we just look at each other and, we're like, hey, today sucks. Today's hard. Today is not fun. And then there's other days we wake up and we're like, oh man, it's a good day. Let's go work on the house. And then, it might be the very next day and we walk in and we're like, we can't do it. It's too heavy. We can't be here today. It hurts too much. And, I know that everybody has those kind of days. God, it feels like every structure in our area has been damaged or touched in some way from it. So, we're feeling the same as the majority of our community. Mm-hmm. And thankfully I've seen from our community that a lot of people that didn't have a lot of damage have shown up in support for the people that did. Yeah. And it's been amazing to see how our community itself has really rallied from just about being wiped off the map from 2 hurricanes. And then of course we had the ice storm and COVID on top of that, and being a business owner, that was COVID itself that was very hard. That was because, you know, trying to run a business and trying to be inside of commercial, you know, people's buildings or people's homes or even industrial facilities that everybody was gunshot. Nobody was letting anybody into work for the most part. So we felt that big time. And then it seems like as soon as we got back, you know, back to square one after COVID, that's when the hurricane hit. Mm-hmm. And honestly, that was, you know, for me being an electrical contractor, that actually was somewhat of a saving grace from COVID, because we had work. We had a lot of work. Mm-hmm. So, I mean, if anything, the hurricane, you know, did help, you know, working people, you know, craftsmen, tradesmen, you know, and it also let local churches and local businesses really shine and show their heart to where, you know, people are coming and people are going to help. And it might be neighbors that you've never met, or it could be, you know, some random church, or it could be, you know, somebody from far away. I mean, whenever I was upstairs on top of the roof here redoing the siding, I was working with a man that was here helping from Alaska. He's an electrical contractor for a company called Midnight Sun Electric. He is the master electrician, the business owner. And he stopped what he was doing in Alaska and came down to Louisiana to help. His sons run his business and he's partially retired, so he just said, I'm going down there. And that's what he did. Mm-hmm. And of course, he and I are both, you know, electrical contractors, so we're, strangely enough, doing vital siding on the side of my house and just talking and just fellowshipping and talking about what God can do and has done through devastation.
After the first month of the storm, I honestly don't even remember much of it. It was just numb. And I just kept believing, you know, okay, God, you're doing something. You're never not doing something. You know, your hand's always in it. So I need to see it. Like I need to see what you're doing, because I'm so confused. You know, a house that we homed people here. We housed people here. Our purpose, our ministry was in this house, and now it's no more. So I need you to show me your hand. I need you to show me what you're doing. And he has just put moments, you know, I mean, we would end up at people's houses that we didn't even know. I mean, we stood in the middle of a kitchen praying with some close friends over her mom. We had never met her mom. We didn't know her. God just kept saying, I need you here. I need you here. I need you here. And I know we're not supposed to question, but I think it's okay to question. It's not okay to doubt. And I had to learn there was a difference between the two. You know, you have to stay open to what God wants to, you know, how to use you. How can he use me? This is devastation. He works in restoration. That is what he does. So if I'm a servant and I'm your daughter, how are you going to use us as a couple, as you always have? And he has used us more emotionally with people, I think, in intimate moments with people versus only physical.
One of our biggest ways to serve is we love to have people over. We love to cook. We love to fellowship. I mean, you know, breaking bread is kind of our thing. And so it devastated us that we couldn't do that. So a few months in, we decided that we missed it so much that we started just cooking meals in our camper, or, you know, at my in-laws' house, at her parents' house. That's where we're staying, is you know, in the back of their house. And we just started, instead of having people over, we just started showing up with food and being like, hey, look, let's eat, let's hang out, let's fellowship, let's do what we always do.
Well, it's been challenging trying to find that familiar feeling before the storm, that familiar feeling of connection and love and just peace, comfort. It's been hard to find that, to how to deliver that feeling when it looks different. And, you know, God has just shown, like, I don't care what you have, you know, I need your heart to always be open. And I know for me personally, I can be very transparent and say that I didn't want my heart open, because my heart was just, I felt like I was bleeding. Like I didn't want to be out there, because then I would see our friends hurting and our friends needing help, and we're only two people, and everybody is in a survival mode. Everybody is. So what we were used to before the storm, all of us doing life together, all of us coming together, all of us doing projects with each other, whatever that is, now we're all a project. And now nobody can be, like, we can only extend ourselves so far, and him being self-employed and trying to meet the need of so many people, he never had a time to even see what we needed to do, and so emotionally and mentally, and the burden was extremely heavy on you as a man. And as a wife, it's taught me, I've got to completely let you lead this. I've got to completely let you lead us, and what is the next step, and what do we do next? And that's so much on you as a man, as a husband, and as a dad, and as a friend, and just as a man in general. It's been, you haven't really had time to breathe because you always have something on your shoulder. It's different. Men just carry things differently than women do.
We do, and I think that, we are equipped for it, but we also get tired. Like, it's hard, and there's some days where I just want to sit there and cry, and I'm like, I don't feel like going to work today. I don't want to do any of that. I want to go work on the house, or I want to go, just do something. But I think that what's helped me is that I have to feel all that, and I have to process it. And if I have to sit in my truck and cry, then I do it. And if I have to go, a while back I just kind of leaned up against her, and I put my head on her shoulder, and I was like, I just want to be close to you. I just need to lean on you. It's all hard. And then there's, like I said, there's other days where we're like, dude, we got this. Let's go. We can do this. But it's just a slow process.
Mm-hmm. If I had any advice to give to anybody that's going through everything, what the whole community is going through, is it's so important to process every emotion in a healthy way. I've had to learn that. I've had to learn every single emotion I'm feeling is valid. If you have somebody that you need to talk to them about it. Make sure that you're heard. Don't sit in where you're at, but process it, correctly. Process it in a healthy way. Don't suppress it. Don't feel guilty. Like, if your house wasn't damaged or whatever, don't feel guilty because you weren't hit. Be thankful, because I know when we came back, our cousin's house was not damaged whatsoever other than a fence. And she was able to house us for months. And so without that being done, if our house was damaged, we would have no place to stay. She took him in, then she took both of us in, then she took our kids in, then she took our dog in, then she fed us. I mean,
Yeah.
That was her ministry at that moment. And that was blessing. But to make sure that you process it, and make sure that you take the days that you need. You really dive into self-care. I know it's kind of cliche, but it really, truly has been the best thing to keep me from a complete emotional breakdown numerous times.
Yeah, and it's grief. It feels like grief. It feels like, a death of something. But the reality is, it's for many of us, it's kind of the death of a previous life, of what we had going for us. And then, now we have to just make it new and make it better, hopefully. I mean, I hope that all of us as individuals and as a community really learn a lot from the grief that we felt through this, and that there's no shame in reaching out, whether it's to your spouse, or it's to your church family and friends, or if it's to, therapists, or whatever you need to manage, your life and to get to a good place. I mean, it takes a lot. It takes a lot of people. It takes a lot of help. It takes whatever it is. I mean, we're making it.
Mm-hmm.
We're persevering. We're pushing through. And you look around at everything here in this house, and it feels so disjointed and disheveled, and just, I mean, it looks like it's wanting to fall apart, but really it's just beginning to come back together in a new way. God still has a plan for a lot of people here. Mm-hmm. People talk about old Lake Charles and how Lake Charles needs to change and all this. This is the change. This is where all the old buildings that look like they were falling apart, they're gone now. There's Lake Charles is going to look different, mm-hmm. and it's going to look better, and it's going to be refreshed, and it's going to be vibrant. And I think that you're going to see, new culture come from this. I think that you're going to see more art. You're going to see, music continue to resurge from the area. You're going to see the community come together like it hasn't before. And I don't want to leave and not see that, not see my home become new.